Good evening and welcome to Going for Two. This is the only YouTube podcast in human recorded history to feature a male and female host drinking our way through the important topics of the day, as long as they touch the football world, but in that way. I am Zach and this is Snowflake Sharona. We are recording on January
Special Snowflake Sharona. Thank you very much. 2016.
Yeah, we'll go get to that. How are you this evening, Sharona, and what dark, evil beer are you consuming right now?
I am going back to my old staple, back to my roots. You guys know I love Java Stout by House Brewery. It's very tasty. I like it a lot.
See, Sharona drinks her like six-pack over 6 weeks of this show, and I'm like, oh, that's like the second half of the AFC Championship. Okay. You had to drink this weekend because those games were not good. So tonight we bring on we haven't had him on for a while, Scott Fish, who is a senior writer for Dynasty League football, and hopefully not just for his age, co-host of the Bull Rush podcast with Ty Miller and Dynasty Frank, proving that if you can't beat someone, you join them, and mad scientist, creator, and maintainer of the Scott Fish Bowl. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Glad to be on a show, having a few drinks. It's I'm on vacation, so that's also good.
It's so great to have you, Scott. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Did you set it up to have like vacation right when the NFL season was ending, just so you can really get the 2017 prep going?
You know, most years I take the week before the Super Bowl off and a couple days after, but this year my daycare lady needed a week and a half of vacation around the same time, and we scheduled a Disney cruise around the same time. So I'm at the very beginning of a 27-day vacation.
That's so awesome.
I think at the end of it, I won't want to go back to work.
I would say. Well, tonight I started with the New Holland Cabin Fever, which there we go. And then, of course, the beer I bought way too much. There's no such thing as too much of. The Double Brown Throwdown from Rogue. And I do have a couple other beers, but I'll save those for later for showing purposes. I hear Scott's going for the heavy stuff tonight, right?
Yeah, well, I pretty much only drink single malt whiskey. I do like an occasional beer and stuff. It's just the last few years I've been trying as many different single malt whiskeys as I could because at 37, I've started to realize what I really enjoy in life, I think, or something. But I got Minnesota 13. Let's see if I can get that on camera. Single malt. It's okay. It's not one of the better ones I've had more recently, but it's okay. It'll do the trick.
So, Scott, let me ask you, Scott, because people ask me this all the time, and I don't know how to answer it. What is the difference between, like, whiskey and bourbon? And
Well, they're both bourbon is a whiskey.
Okay.
Bourbon and Scotch are two different kinds of whiskeys. Bourbons are generally American. They're generally American South whiskeys. Scotch are usually Scotland whiskeys.
Okay.
There's recently some like Japanese whiskeys, Scotch whiskeys that have come out. I drink single malt Scotches. I prefer Scotches. I don't like the Islay Scotches or Islay, I believe it's pronounced. Way up in the northern regions of Scotland, they kind of have like a really peaty taste or really smoky taste. I don't like those so much, but I like your general Highland single malt whiskey.
I used to drink Scotch. What would Dewar's?
Yeah, Dewar's. It's a pretty popular.
It gives me a headache now. I can't drink it anymore. I need to try something different, I think.
It always gave me a headache. That's what I drank in college.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yep. Yeah, Dewar's is a blended whiskey too. So
okay.
that can happen. I prefer the single malts.
Okay.
Well, what would your first round draft pick single malt would be?
It'd probably be a Balvenie 14. It's aged in a Caribbean cask, so it's got like that Caribbean rum kind of, little accent to it. But it's just such a smooth single malt. I've heard the Balvenie 16 is pretty good, but I've never tried that one. trying to think of some others that I really like. I like the Akatoshin. It's like spelled Auchentoshine, I think, Auchentoshine. I've had the American oak. I know TJ Hernandez loves the 3-wood of that variety. Those are really good too.
I'll have to say, as my beer craziness has increased, I do like some barrel aged stuff. Like there's some wood aged, and I've had a couple of rum aged beers have been quite good. So it's nice to have that combination going. Mm-hmm. So let's delve a little bit into the past here. So how did this juggernaut known as the Scott Fish Bowl get started? And can you tell us how many teams will be in the Scott Fish Bowl? I actually did hashtag SF Bowl Infinity when I promoted the show.
I saw that.
But the history and what do you have maybe for us coming in 2017?
Well, it started in 2010 as a reader league for my site, FF Oasis, that I ran at the time. And we got, a few analysts around the industry to try to, bring these readers in to play with the writers of the site and, other industry analysts. And Mike Clay won that year, and he's now gone on to ESPN Fantasy. But started as 96 teams, and then the next year it was only 60 teams because there was actually less interest somehow. And I took a year off, regrouped, brought it back, and it has just grown exponentially since. The support the industry has had for this thing is unbelievable. It's like this community connecting event.
It's wonderful.
Now. Yeah.
It's literally one of my favorite things.
Yeah, and this last year they had mock drafts to get ready.
I participated in some of those, yeah.
I could not believe never even imagined
it's unique. That. So you really have to prepare differently than a normal draft, or
that is true.
Even
you really do
different kind of draft. Even like if you do a 2 quarterback or quarterback flex league, this is different.
It's not the same. I got so screwed with my wide receivers this year. I just can't even. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Don't get all huffy. Thanks, Nuke.
Oh, and he was probably your first round pick too.
He was.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, my first round pick in that was Zeke. But I didn't do much better. I just barely made the playoffs, and then I advanced 1 round, and then I got booted. I didn't have that good of a team, even though I had Zeke in the first.
Let's see, my running backs were not good either. I don't forget who I had in that league. I just know that, that was one of the leagues where I bought into to Tajay Sharp, and he didn't do anything.
Wonderful.
Shut up.
Hey, but it led you into the loving arms of Rashard Matthews, who did really well for you in many leagues. So
man,
going for it.
How many Titans did you have? Didn't you have? I'm pretty sure you had Derrick Henry too, right?
Did have Derrick Henry.
Just about every league.
Yeah, I had Derrick Henry and Tajay. My quarterbacks were Alex Smith, and I think Tyrod Taylor was the other quarterback in that league. And then I picked up, the Rams quarterback, not Jared, not Goff.
Positive points for
you. Case Keenum.
Case.
Yeah.
Case closed.
Anyway,
so he had some good weeks if you got him on off waivers for cheap.
Yeah, I did. I didn't have to. I forget. I spent my money early on, like in week 1 or week 2, for somebody, and I don't remember now who it was. I'll have to go back and look at it.
Everyone does that. Week 1, week 2, they blow a ton of money. Every year. It's just because the waiver wire is so thin in the league.
It is.
You have 22 roster spots times 12 teams, and there's no defenses or kickers. That takes a lot of the skill positions out of it.
Yeah, I don't know
one of my tight ends was Gary Barnage, and I had
Barnage.
Then I had Jason Witten was my, and then I think I drafted, or maybe I picked him up on waivers, but I think I had Richard Rodgers too, and my team just was not good.
Yeah. Oh well, maybe next year.
It happens. Well, listen, in our Yahoo, Zach can tell you, in our Yahoo league, I had a boss team, but I got booted by Jen Eakins in the first round.
Oh.
I know, man. I had that week like everybody else did.
For 4 people, they're good.
Yeah, well, I had that week. Everybody had that week where all the
Week
good
14.
players,
Yeah.
all the good players just stunk it
Yep.
up.
Yep.
So anyway, but I didn't mind losing too badly
Yeah, basically
because I
my
like.
worst week of the Scott Fish Bowl was week 14, the first week of the playoffs. Like I forgot, because I had a bye week, I forgot to put Travis Kelce in my lineup on Thursday.
no.
And then somehow I put Andre Ellington there instead of a player who actually scored points.
Oh.
And it was my worst week of the year.
Mm.
Like I could have done, I don't think I would have won, but I would have gotten in there. And it was just like, yeah,
Right.
you have one bad week in fantasy, especially with all of us. I'm sure we all play a lot of leagues. It's like, how do you keep track? But
My ITP league, it's so funny because I was late to the draft in that one. It was a snake draft. And by the time I got there, I think we were in like round 4 or something like that. And my first pick immediately was Delaney Walker, which made me feel bad. I know, just listen, don't judge. Delaney's my
Dude.
fantasy boo. I don't think it was Delaney, but I did take Delaney. But I had Jordan Reed. Maybe I didn't take Delaney
That's
in
a
that.
lot
But
of tight
anyway,
ends.
it auto draft. This is how it auto drafted for me. I got Zeke, which was good. My first pick might have been Zeke. My second pick, it auto drafted for me. Who's the Arizona Cardinals wide receiver that sucked it up
John
and then
Brown, Fitzgerald,
Floyd.
and got Michael Floyd. They
Floyd.
got
Fitzgerald had
released.
a couple of good weeks, but yeah, Floyd was pretty much death.
So that was my second round pick. I think Jordan Reed was my third round pick, and so I was like, this team sucks. But then I rebuilt it, fortunately, and I ended up I was in second place in that league by the time it was all said and done. I didn't win anything this year, but I ended up was I in third place in our league, third or fourth because of that week 1, that first
Fifth
playoff
place.
loss? Was
You
it
came in
fifth?
fifth. You beat us in the 5th place. Beat me in the 5th place game,
Oh shit!
which is one of our
babe.
bets. It's weird. We fit like Sharona and I think we're in 3 leagues combined. I finished ahead of you in 1. You finished ahead of me in 2. Yet somehow I'm bringing you like a case of beer. I don't know how. I suck
That's
at
how
betting.
it works.
But the worst fantasy heartbreak I've had was this year. I've done a bunch of best ball leagues and I've never won one. I've come in second a lot. And this year, King of the Hill. Now, King of the Hill is a league that Scott set up that had 4 different divisions. And it's like British Premier League soccer where you can get relegated and all that. And both of us, and I think Jen might have finished too, like in the 4th out of 4. And I jumped out to a big lead, but then week 16, I'm winning by 45 points over Scott, and he beat me by like 100. He just kept pounding me. He had literally Scott had the highest single week score of the entire league in that week to beat me. So I went from winning $120 a the league to winning like a Happy Meal at McDonald's. And we both did advance to the next level, which is good. But it's not just you had this juggernaut, and it was there. And the week before, your team kind of stumbled, and I held my lead. I'm like, and then you had Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, and they both scored 80 points, and I was decimated. And and my in-laws checking my phone every 5 minutes and down 10 points more every time I checked.
That was
an awful
week. A lot of my best ball teams are pretty similar too, and that week I didn't notice it until a couple days later. But I was in second in 4 MFL 10s, and I won 3 of them because that week I had, and King of the Hill obviously as well, because all my teams are have a lot of similar players. All those best balls have some similar players. They all just showed up that week and won me a bunch of money.
That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome.
Zach.
In a way, I'm kind of glad that Scott got on this week as opposed to last week. Because last week, you had us jumped. You were on RotoViz. You talked to those people. So everybody's already forgotten. We've moved on from them, right?
Yeah, I was on 3 podcasts last week. Yeah, last week I was going to be on this one, but I had a meeting at like an hour before it started. I thought it was 2 hours before it started. I thought, no problem, I can do this. But it was an hour before it started, and then it just ran long. Sorry about that again,
No,
guys.
it's fine. Don't worry about it. We just feel lucky to have you. And thanks again for joining us.
No, this is awesome. This is great.
Yeah, it was kind of a rough year for me because, I didn't have, like last season, I had so many injuries. My teams just stunk. I didn't have that many injuries. My teams just didn't.
Those years
do well.
happen.
Yeah.
I've been playing for 25 years now, fantasy football, and man, those years happen. You just got to roll with it and move on to the next one.
Yeah.
So since you're the master of leagues, do you prefer the Scott Fish Bowl style where you have to set your lineup, or do you kind of like those best ball leagues where you're like, okay, top scoring guy, you're in?
I have more fun and I pay more attention to the ones where I have to set my lineup.
Yeah.
Like King of the Hill, last year I paid attention all year. This year I checked in maybe once every few weeks. So I would say I have a little more fun with setting my lineups. It is fun drafting though, so I love playing as many best balls as I can.
Yeah, I like a good mix now. I think that kind of makes it fun, a mix of stuff that you have to, kind of focus on and stuff that's kind of easy peasy and you just get to have fun with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, basically you do Scott Fish Bowl, which usually starts like the week after July 4th.
Yep.
So you draft and you have to wait like 2 months to see if your players get hurt. And then the week after that's over, it's King of the Hill. But the difference with King of the Hill is you draft and that's it. And it's pretty similar to Scott Fish Bowl scoring, but you have no waivers. At least with Scott Fish Bowl, you blow your whole waiver. Like I got Dak Prescott, I think, and spent like 90% of my money because I had
that was a good buy though.
Yeah, that was a really good buy.
I remember I was making fun of people taking Dak in the 18th round of MFL 10s like in August. I'm like, why are you doing that? And it's like, oh, that really actually worked out pretty good, huh?
Yeah, it did.
What do I know?
I drafted him in our Yahoo League. I forget where I took him.
Sure I made fun of you.
And I'm not going to name him. We're going to get him on here. I know a longtime fantasy guy. He's wonderful and awesome and so smart. I know that he hated my draft because he did not like my Dak pick. And I think I took Delaney, like in the 5th round or something like that. But anyway, I did. It was my last draft and I hadn't had a chance to draft Dak before because he was really it was weird where he was going in the drafts that I was in. And I was like, that's kind of high. But I ended up taking him in that league. I was really glad he ended up being my starting quarterback.
Yeah. I had 0 shares of Dak all year, any leagues. I still don't have even a single share of Dak Prescott. I wish I did, though.
It was kind of my YOLO pick, and it kind of turned out.
Well, yeah, since you're a dynasty guy, you'll appreciate this. So in a dynasty league where I had Johnny Football, I managed to get a 6th round pick for him in a dynasty league. And it was like the week before he got suspended again. And then the pick came up and I had 2 6th round picks and somebody offered me like a 2017 pick for it. I'm like, okay. So I got rid of those 2 picks and the first one ended up being Dak Prescott. And I took Cardell Jones like a round before. I was like, oh, I was like, come on, Cardell Jones, baby, upside national championship. And then he's probably never going to do anything.
No.
Wow. He's the next generation of Adrian. Was Adrian Pete? No. What was that?
Is he on the Jets or the Bills? I forget. He's the Bills.
He's on the Bills.
Some team that sucks, yeah.
And they're sounds like
just a hot mess.
Releasing Tyrod Taylor. You never know, Zach. You might have a starter.
There are Bills writers who are calling for him to start. Yeah.
He's got raw talent. I don't know. Everybody assumes he's a super young guy, but I think he was a redshirt junior when he got drafted, so he's not, because all about age, right, Scott?
All about age. I'm
very important
anti-age guy. There's a lot of people are really concerned with it. I'm usually not one of those guys. Yeah, it looks like he's 24 years old. He'll be 25 at the start of the season.
Gosh, ancient.
Yeah,
so what about
retire?
You like to. I mean, you like to do crazy leagues, of course. You're a crazy guy, but what about fantasy cares? You want to talk about that?
Yes.
Oh gosh, I always love talking about that. FantasyCares.net. I set up leagues every year, and a large percentage, if not all of it, goes to charity. It depends on which type of league you join. But this year we're going to give winners of leagues the option to give money to a charity of their choice. We're also part of the league fees is going to go towards the Toys for Tots drive I do every year. Last year we raised $6,000 to buy toys for kids. I have the pictures on FantasyCares.net of all those toys that we bought. It's amazing. It's amazing to be able to buy that much.
Getting choked up.
Yeah, it's like I know this might seem silly, but I have a 4-year-old son, and that kid is spoiled rotten. But
he should be.
Every time I know, every time he gets a new toy, like just watching his face light up, watching how excited he is over a new toy, and he gets new toys like every month. Imagine a kid that doesn't always get a lot of toys or can't afford Christmas presents, and that kid gets a brand new toy.
Yeah.
That I don't get to see it, but I can imagine it, and it makes me so happy that the fantasy industry supports this so much to be able to do this for kids. It's quite amazing.
I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I think that the fantasy football community is one of the best communities out there in terms of things like that and social media, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, we're very supportive of each other, and we can do a lot when it comes to things like this when we back each other.
We really can.
It's a good community unless you're arguing about ketchup versus mustard or hand size, which I think is a big thing this week.
Onions. You onion stands.
I didn't even know there was an onion one. I knew there was ketchup versus mustard, but I'm a no condiment guy. I don't put condiments on anything.
I don't know if there's
I'm not big on condiments either.
No.
The only time I put
completely
both on
mayo.
I'm
no, never mayo.
It's like I don't know if you're allowed to be in the South without having mayonnaise with every meal. Or
yes,
grits.
you are. I lived here my whole life. I've never consumed mayo.
I wrote in a draft guide this year about a little bit about draft day parties and whatnot, and I wrote in the draft guide that make sure to not put any condiments on your burger or hot dog unless you're a terrible griller. If you're a terrible griller and you need to mask the taste of your terrible grilling, then you can put a condiment on.
Wow.
That's like people who put steak sauce or ketchup on steak, a good grilled steak.
Sharona can't ever come to my house because my burgers, I put onions inside the burger. Oh, yeah, it's
so
great.
Does my wife sometimes. I'm not a fan, but I like
cheese. I like ketchup. Although
I do like cheese.
I got this.
People are encouraged. Fantasy Sports Twitter was mad at Pickles one day this week, and I logged in and I was like, "Mad at Pickles, I'm logging out."
I did not notice that.
Yes.
I would have been all on that. Honestly, I'm sorry, but people know this about me. Pickles are my most hated food.
No way.
I gag. I legitimately gag. I've never
eaten sweet ones.
I've never eaten one, so I've had them in my mouth and then spit them out and gagged. But okay. I can't swallow it because my gag reflex goes.
That's so funny. I'm kind of that way about mayo and a little bit about. I can eat onions, but I regret it. Later, I just regret it, and I'm like, oh, just kill me now because they make me sick.
Well, I thought we were timed to do like a fantasy, like a beer draft, but maybe a food draft, and then get into fights. Movie drafts. I don't know.
Oh man, yeah. I could see a lot of infighting with just something as vague or something as generic as a food draft.
Condiment draft. Boom. Here we go.
Oh yeah.
But seriously though, if you put ketchup on a good grilled steak, you're a monster.
I've never eaten ketchup with a steak in my life. I don't think.
Well, I have upgraded because I was in Nashville and there was this spice place that had like every kind of spice in the world. So I got this like really smoky spice that I was going to use on ribs.
Mm-hmm.
And if you mix it with ketchup and have it with fries, that's pretty good. I've upgraded from regular ketchup to ketchup with either Frank's hot sauce or this smoky stuff because it adds something to it. I don't think it's a steak. I mean, really, if it's a good steak, you really shouldn't have anything with it. Maybe some grilled onions. Sorry, Sharona, maybe not.
No, mushrooms, sauteed mushrooms.
Mushrooms are the devil.
Mushrooms are the devil.
I will cook them for my wife, but I do not. Freaking fungi! Come on.
That Frank's red sauce is good though.
I love
hot sauce. Yeah,
I love hot sauce.
Anything hot. I love hot sauce. I once this is such a dumb story, but my friend and I went to God. What was the name of that place? Grizzly. I don't remember. It was like a bar and grill type restaurant. And we loved their habanero sauce so much, we asked them to order each of us, a tub of habanero sauce. And we both bought one from the bar and grill. And then I put that habanero hot sauce on everything for like 2 months. Oh,
that's great.
I love it. Love hot sauce.
Well,
Let me revise my statement, because if I do hibachi with like grilled steak and all the the fried rice and all the veggies and stuff, the hot sauce that they put on the side, oh yes, to die for. Gotta have
sriracha. Yeah, it's basically like, for me, you can put either, if you put peanut butter, ketchup, Frank's, sriracha, and I can't remember, whipped cream or something. Put that on pretty much any food, you're good. You're all set. Not together, but you know what I'm saying. Odd food talk. I had no idea we'd go there. I
know. I just tweeted that.
But
just tweeted that we're talking.
So what's happening next year so we can prepare? Because we're only like 6 months away from the draft. Scott Fishbowl, how many teams do we have next year? And what are you doing to mess with our minds? Because every year we're like, okay, I got this. I figured it out. And you're like, no, I got to change it.
Yep. I do that on purpose. I figured that the industry would get bored if they if they got it figured out. Like MFL 10s, we strategize. Anyone can walk into an MFL 10 and kind of know how to draft it. I don't want that for SFB. I want SFB to be chaos. So next year I'm probably almost guaranteed going to add points per first down in some degree. And
I like it.
Yep. And
now, does our league have points per target?
I don't know if it has points per target.
I think we should do that.
That's what I'm not sure I've seen, but I like the concept, because I know it's not quite a fantasy civil war, but the whole PPR, like some people were like, it's horrible. And I mean, I think any kind of scoring system, there's upsides and downsides, but yeah, when your guy gets a catch and loses like 2 yards, come on.
I related this to I loved PPR for years. In 2007, I was writing PPR articles, and they would end up on the first page of Google because no one was doing PPR. In 2007, it's only 10 years ago. It's crazy to think PPR has not been that big for very long. But now I even though I was such a huge proponent, now I've gotten to that point that Zach just said, like the 11 for 68. I hate that. So I feel like points per first down is a little more relevant to a player performing on the field. I feel like PPR has almost become like, the 100-yard bonus or the 300-yard bonus. It's not exactly perfect.
Okay, and did you say, what was it, the yards per carry? I think you were adjusting.
We have yards per carry in that league. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it or take it away, because points per first down already shifts towards running backs. Points per first down is a little more beneficial to running backs than it is wide receivers. I didn't realize that until Scott Barrett of Pro Football Focus.
He's so great.
Yeah, and John Paulson of 4 for 4. We had a good conversation about it, and they showed me some statistics that points per first down actually help running backs a little bit more. So I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the points per carry. I'm not sure what I might. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the points per reception if I'm going to keep it a half. It's all very tentative. As far as the teams, I think I'm going to go with 720. There's 2,500 people signed up at the moment, probably more. I haven't checked in like 2 weeks, but 2,500 or so people signed up. That means 1 out of every 4 will get in, maybe.
Oh, wow.
That's something else. I'm just trying to think of the amount of time because you get like an email, kind of like a newsletter from Scott every week, and then the mad scientist has like 4 different versions of the standings, and it's kind of crazy. And it's well maintained.
Scott, let me ask you this, because I told on myself last week, and Zach got to clown me, and I'm going to let you get an opportunity to.
Wow.
I joined a couple playoff challenges this year that I did not have any idea what I was doing.
Okay.
And as it turns out, I thought they are, first one is a 1 and done, and the other one is a 2 and done, and I thought it was like lose a game, you're out, lose 2 games.
No.
No, it's not. I know, right? I know that now. And so I figured that out like in the second week because I was like trying to set my roster. I was like, okay, so I emailed the guy and who's Jeff Ratliff, who's so good, and so he was, kind of telling me. So is there a do you employ any kind of strategy when you play those things? I was just
Absolutely.
like, let me win. So help me out here.
I'm not in Jeff's, but Jeff's is the 1 and done, and I'm assuming Bruce is the 2 and done?
Yeah.
Okay. With a league like Jeff's where it's 1 and done, I generally, with my quarterback, I stay in one conference.
Okay.
That way it guarantees me the Super Bowl quarterback, because in my early years of playing playoff fantasy, I would end up in the Super Bowl with no quarterback because I just tried to constantly play the studs.
Yeah, I avoided Pat's players because I figured they would be in the Super Bowl.
See, that's smart. You could probably play 5 Pats players in this game. I don't know how many you start in Jeff's. Probably 5, 6, 7. 9? Ooh.
Wait, maybe it's 7.
Wow. 9.
No, I think it's 9. I think you play
for a playoff league. Dang.
Yeah. Let me pull this up so I don't misspeak.
Yeah. So I mean, you always want to, unless there's a multiplier, you always want to go after players that you think are going to lose.
Yeah. That's
which is step 1.
See, like last weekend, I played a lot of Falcons players, so I'm kind of foobarred a little bit. But I didn't play very many. I know, right? But I just, it was like.
Do you think the Packers were going to win, or?
I did, yeah.
Oh man,
I did.
I have some Packer fan friends, and I felt bad saying this in the chat room, but a little bit. But I thought it was such a slam dunk.
Oh yeah.
Let me see how far away.
No, you were smart. I was dumb.
I put $120 on the Falcons.
Oh yeah,
because I thought it was that much of a slam dunk.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, as the week went on, it seemed like basically Green Bay had no defense, and all their
players
receivers were hurt.
Yeah.
And then like Ty Montgomery got hurt early, and it's like, Christine Michael, seriously, you're gonna depend. Hey, Jared Cook made one great catch, but come on, you can depend on him as a primary receiver. Like, the Falcons are just nuts. Like,
yeah,
I think they said if they scored 30 points, they'd score the most 30-point games ever, more than even the glorious 16-0 Patriots
or the 98 Vikings.
Oh yeah. Yeah, maybe you needed that. That was good karma for you. Betting on the Falcons after that.
Yeah,
Gary Anderson kick.
Nothing will ever help me recover from that kick. I remember. I'm not joking. I remember I was in college at the time. I remember after that kick, I was watching it alone in my room because I couldn't have anyone around me for the end of that game, and I remember wandering around in a daze and not saying a word to anyone for like an hour. I was struck by that.
9 total starters, 1 quarterback, 2 to 3 running backs, 3 to 4 wide receivers, 1 to 2 tight ends, and 1 defense.
Wow.
Jeez,
that's
a lot of people.
Really, in a 1 and done, that is really, in a 2 and done, that's a lot easier. In a 1 and done, that is really
Levine Tololo is going to be in your lineup for the Super Bowl, I guess.
Yes.
Did you save Bennett at least? Wow.
Yeah, I didn't play any Pat's tight ends.
Yeah,
so I'm good there.
Yeah, at least, I mean, if you didn't play any Pats the whole time, man, I wonder how many. Here's the problem with that, though. I bet there are a lot of people that do that. So you might be walking into the final week playing a lot of similar lineups.
12 total starters in the 2 and done. One quarterback.
Yeah, but that's IDP. So
it is IDP. Yeah.
I think they're 7 and 5 in that.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I haven't played that. I didn't play that this year. I've played it a couple times in the past, though. That Bruce runs a good league.
I love Bruce. League. Bruce is so great.
Yep. He's runs a lot of IDP mocks and stuff too. Yeah. Good guy. Yep.
I love IDP. Where there's a group of fantasy women who who've been doing this for a long time. We're gonna do I think a startup fantasy IDP league. So dynasty league. So that's kind of cool.
That's fun. Can you drop anyone that's joining?
Well, it's some of the names that you would expect.
Yeah.
The 2 Jens and Liz Loza's in there, and Brandon is in there, and Katie and Lisa London, and I'm gonna.
She's awesome, by the way.
I love her so much. I'm gonna leave some names out, but those are
They're all awesome, actually. Katie Flower,
are.
I assume, and Liz Loza, and Jen Ryan, Jen Eakins.
Yeah, Katie won our auction league.
She did.
She admitted she was like the drunkest person there, but she won the league.
Which is an accomplishment because we were
It was best ball, and she won by like 400 points. It was crazy.
Was it a live auction?
Yeah, we did it. We actually did the entire draft on the show, and I think it was 4 hours, and oh my gosh. Nobody on earth could have made it through the end because it was like the last 2 hours were just dollar defense, dollar kicker. We didn't have kickers, but yeah. Kickers aren't people too. That's going to happen. But how does it feel to have the MFL leagues adding your scoring system there? And
man,
is it last year's scoring system? Then they're not updating it for this year, are they? Or are they waiting for you?
They are waiting for me to decide. I'm not sure what I'm going to do though, because last year I feel like I really nailed it. In fact, I can't even count the number of people and number of leagues that contacted me, and the number of leagues that were started with SFB scoring because it evened the playing field between the positions so well. So I might just tell MFL to go with last year's scoring because it really, really nailed it, I felt like. But yeah, I totally geeked out when he sent me that message that they were going to put that in. That's going to be pretty sweet. Easier for me to set up my leagues now too, because I can just click that and then maybe adjust it a little.
Not bad. Now, since you are a dynasty guy, we have to ask. What's the deal with you and Derrick Henry's footwork? Like, have the two of you worked it out? Have you had an issue?
Now listen,
is he going to show up with dancing on the stars?
I will hear no slander against my boo now, okay?
Here's the thing. I'm actually a Derrick Henry fan. I have him in a few leagues. I just find it. Have you seen video clips of him running like the rope drills and stuff?
Yeah, well,
they're borderline hilarious. But no, I think it's the kind of thing that all running, but every player in the NFL most players in the NFL have something that they're just not the best at, and his footwork might be his. I like him a lot though, and especially if DeMarco Murray gets injured or falls off a cliff, man. That offense just breathes through the running game.
Well, DeMarco Murray sort of kind of faded toward the end of the season last year. And I really think that if the Titans had utilized their 2 running back system a little bit more effectively, that might not have happened. And I'm hopeful that they'll do a better job of that next year.
So I'm really excited about the Titans offense.
Yeah.
They run an offense like I like to see an offense run. And if they take one of the top 2 wide receivers in the draft, which many people are thinking they will, Mike Williams or Corey Davis, Mariota, Mariota could be scary next year.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't heard on a podcast someone making a bold prediction, not like they're not saying this would happen, but a bold prediction of Mariota being the number one fantasy quarterback.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he wasn't bad this past year. I mean, he started kind of slow, but then
somebody mentioned, I think it was one mock, and there are going to be 5 billion mock drafts.
Yeah.
That they take 2 offensive guys in the first round, like a receiver and a tight end. And I heard it's like O.J. Howard out of Alabama, and then the guy out of Miami whose name I'm going to have to learn to pronounce in the next 4 months.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Mike Williams, it seems like he might be dropping. I know I mentioned Mike Williams' name right after the championship game, and Sharona was like, whatevs. It does seem like Mike Williams is a little more of an Alshon Jeffrey. Like, he's not like a burner, and boy, did the Titans need some speed on offense, at least at the receiver position. So hopefully
I was just having a Twitter conversation with some people saying Cordarrelle Patterson to the Titans. Special teams.
I actually like kind of joked that they're going to give him like a 5-year, $35 million contract because
it's not a joke.
He can return punts, he can return kicks. In a way, I was like, well, he said something about wanting to be a running back. I'm like, well, Ty Montgomery pulled it off, but as a gadget player plus maybe have him run some routes.
Here's the thing with Cordarrelle Patterson. I've said this the entire 4 years he's been a Viking, and Scott Peak, who works with me at DLF, he's a former he's a Charger fan, maybe a former Charger fan at this point.
I'm so sorry for him.
But
that just breaks my heart.
We talked about how Norv Turner is a terrible fit for Cordarrelle Patterson. And so for 4 years, Cordarrelle Patterson was awful.
He just languished.
But once Turner left, Cordarrelle Patterson had some okay games at the end of this season. I think people are going to see that and realize that Cordarrelle is not a fit for Norv Turner. Maybe there's a offense or an OC that can get him in space because he's not great at separating. Get him in space and just get the ball in his hands because there are very few players as good as he is in the NFL once the ball's in his hands.
Like that. He is, I've seen a lot of football players practice live, and he is one of the most amazing athletes I've ever seen. I can't. It's hard for me to come up with words to impress that, and I mean. I covered the Titans for years, since they came to town. And I've seen literally hundreds, if not thousands, of football players live in various situations, and he's that amazing.
I haven't seen him live. Did you saw him when he was with the Vols?
Yes.
Yeah, gosh. I know his statistics weren't huge for the Vols, but he had several just huge plays where he would get the ball and he'd run through defenders, just weaving it. He's electric when he gets that. Just give him a little bit of space. He's scary. His
ability to plant and move I haven't seen it before. It's pretty special.
Yeah, that would be a pretty amazing homecoming. I don't think the Vikings are going to be able to afford to re-sign him. Which makes me sad. I really like having him on kickoffs.
Yeah.
And, making his way into the wide receiver.
The Vikings are an interesting team. What do you make of all of that?
Oh.
Yeah.
For those that are just listening to this and not watching, I just put my hands in my face. The wide receiver situation is interesting. I love Adam Thielen. I love
he's great.
Stephon Diggs. But I don't love Bradford. I am definitely a Teddy is better than Bradford, but I don't know that either are the answer. I think we still have legit Super Bowl chances next year. I don't know that it's going to happen, but man, our defense when it's fully healthy is really, really good when it's fully healthy.
What do you make of Norv kind of? I mean, it seems like there was some dissension behind the scenes, and then players weren't doing what Coach Zimmer wanted them to do with the infamous secondary revolt. And what do you make of all of that?
Yeah, it's really tough to tell because you hear I've probably heard like 4 different stories of what went down there. I'm gonna trust that Zimmer. either still has the locker room or he's regained it back by now. I have faith going into next year, but that's probably because I'm a Vikings fan, and we live in a state of eternal faith and heartbreak. it's pretty.
Well, that's just what it is to be a sports fan.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
but every 9 or 10 years, we go to the NFC Championship game and we lose in a heartbreaking fashion. Late 70s in the Super Bowl, late 80s in NFC Championship, late 90s, 98, Gary Anderson, 2009 with the Favre pick in a game that we beat. We were better than New Orleans in every facet of that game. And the Adrian Peterson
do you think the
turnover on the
bounty
goal line,
situation was that? Do you think that affected it?
Oh, yeah. Favre could barely walk. Favre's ankle, they're not even positive he could have played in the Super Bowl. He would have, Favre, he would have gone out
played.
there. But it was, that was terrible. But
he got the crap knocked out of him that game.
I guess they were like
twisting
his ankle under the pile or whatever or something. And
well, that's a Greg Williams thing, and it's kind of funny. I mean, that happened to the Titans too. The Ravens did that.
Yeah.
To
Chris Johnson. Oh, don't bring that back. Oh, Piz.
Sorry. I just
painful playoff game.
We'll leave that discussion. I think that Teddy. I'm a big fan of Teddy, and I still think that he has a lot of possibility, and I really hope that he's successful.
I've heard rumors. I mean, you hear lots of things, but I've heard rumors that it's possible his career might even be done.
I've heard that too. I have.
It's scary when I hear stuff like that.
Yeah.
It would make sense why the Vikings are not
did what they did.
Not just not ruling out Bradford as a starter next year, but they're kind of saying that Bradford is probably our week 1 starter next year.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound good from what I
It doesn't. It doesn't. I feel so it's just so awful.
Yeah. I can't imagine what it was like to watch it happen. I mean, I heard people were throwing up that it's got to be bad if there are people throwing up.
So sad.
And I just trying to imagine week 1 of the season.
Will they draft a quarterback?
Oh, I don't know.
The second round, third round.
I think we have Bradford, and Sean King is a guy we really like as a backup. I mean, he's an NFL backup. He's a good NFL backup.
He's a solid NFL backup.
He beat
I agree.
the Titans in week 1. Come on.
Now he didn't have to do that, Zach.
I just remember Josh wearing his sweater, like he was like living large. Yeah, the defense did a pretty good job.
Didn't our defense score 2 touchdowns? I think our defense scored 2 touchdowns that game.
Yes, they stripped the ball from Mariota. I think he threw a 6 pick, didn't he? I picked 6.
It was basically like 17 points off turnovers, like in the third quarter, because they had a nice.
It was not a good game.
They got pretty solidly sunburnt in that game.
That is the game. I mean, watching the game, DeMarco Murray looked really legit in that game.
Yeah,
I wish I would have tried to trade for DeMarco after I watched that game because he looked good.
I had DeMarco in. He definitely had him in our Yahoo league. He did well for me.
So what's it like to do like dynasty rankings, and do you have some guys that you're like excited about this season, like buying low? And of course, rookie time, you know, keeping track of all the hand measurements this week at the Senior Bowl.
In previous years, I was all over that. I was such a big Devy guy, such a big developmental guy. This year, I think it's probably because I have less time on my hands. If I had more time on my hands, as my son gets older, like yesterday, I was out playing outside, playing tag and going down the hill with him in the sled and stuff. I just don't have the time I used to. So I kind of let things wash out, I let all the information come in and then I look at it instead of going, second by second updates, I'm not really watching the watching the Senior Bowl hand sizes come in. I'll access all that information when it's all out, I think. There's not really any guys I'm buying low right now in Dynasty or high. Right now, I'm just kind of resetting up all my leagues for the 2017 season, starting a new league. It's mostly commissioner stuff right now. If I was just a Dynasty owner, I think I probably would be more active in trading right now. But this is the time of year where commissioners are doing a lot of work, and I commission 101 leagues. So
Wow.
I have a lot on my plate right now.
Commissioners have feelings too.
They're people too.
Commissioners are people too. Yeah. I don't think I've made a trade in a few weeks. It's just such a busy time for me.
Being a commissioner is definitely a thankless job.
It at times I felt that way, but this last couple of years, people have been very nice to me about the commissioning work I do. So I feel appropriately thanked for the hours I put in.
Good.
Mostly because this industry is just really nice.
It really is a good industry. I completely agree.
It's probably time to do the pour one out. I think we can just pour one out for Aaron Rodgers. Poor guy, just couldn't. I mean, I was amazed. Like with 3 minutes to go, they put Brett Hundley, and I'm like, oh, sorry guys, year's over. And of course, Steelers Nation and whatever kind of coverage they did on Chris Hogan was insane. I was annoyed because I paid top dollar to pick Chris Hogan up in a dynasty league where there's not much on waivers, and he did not do much for me. He definitely didn't start for me, but boy, he looked good in that game last week.
Do you have faith for him for next season, though?
Well, I mean, I'm in a league where you have 53 roster spots, so he's going to stay on my roster. I don't know if I'm ever going to start him just because there's so many guys, but I guess in a way with Dynasty, it's grab the guys on really good offenses. But yeah, so far hasn't done much. But not bad.
Guys like him. I wonder if Michael Floyd will go somewhere else, and it seems like a couple of those guys might be interesting buys.
Well, yeah, it's kind of why you get excited about Mariota for the Titans, because he just throws to whoever's open, and that's obviously what Brady's doing with the Patriots, because Hogan he's had maybe one or two good games, and then Malcolm Mitchell was good, and of course Gronk when he was there, and it's whoever's open.
Martellus Bennett had those couple of good games, and
Martellus in the Super Bowl, that'll be good.
I feel like for leagues that ended, dynasty leagues that ended, there are a lot of dynasty leagues that don't have waivers. Guys people are going to be really trying to buy up these Jared Cooks and Paul Richardsons and Chris Hogans that have really put on a playoff resume. It's going to be interesting to watch.
Don't buy the Jared Cook hype, people.
Oh my gosh, every year.
Don't get Sharona started.
I had Julian Edelman on my roster for 4 years or something, and I cut him the year before he blew up, and it's just oh man, you got to be kidding me. I mean, he was playing defensive back half the time, and you just had no idea what he was going to do. But it's if you have a receiver on a team with a good offense, you just gotta hold on.
That was me with Deion Lewis.
Audible thing. Yeah.
Deion Lewis, I drafted as a sophomore in college, and I held him for years, and then dropped him.
No way.
One of the times he was cut. Yeah, he was by the Eagles.
Man, Debbie's got to be rough. I'm just thinking 5-star guys that Malcolm Brown, who just don't do anything.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a long list of 5-star guys that did not turn out. Yeah, even I think Crowell's year, there were two guys. Marcus Lattimore was with Crowell, and Lake Seastrunk was the third.
Yeah,
of course.
Three five-star running backs, and Crowell is average, and then two busts.
Well, I mean, poor Marcus Lattimore just couldn't get over Lattimore. Yeah, just couldn't get over that injury, and that's so sad.
Yeah, that was rough. I feel bad for those guys.
Yeah.
We're getting close to the end of the hour, so it's time. Sharona, for #over at #nah. Now, I think I've actually only talked about one of these this week, so it's unusual for me. Usually, I write these down, Scott,
We
and
ended up
end up talking about them beforehand, so there's nothing there. So here you go. Hashtag over it, hashtag nah, Sharona. We'll start with your bell. Let's talk. Hashtag.
Nah, it's sports can do such good when when people pull together, and as Scott and I were talking about earlier, and the bell let's talk. Let's not make it just a hashtag though. Let's make it a real movement where, we reach out to one another and we say, "What can I do to help? Are you okay? Is everything okay?" And it's one of the wonderful things that sports can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Definitely.
not just sports anyway. Get all your followers to retweet that thing.
Yeah.
All right. Hashtag over it or nah. Nintendo Classic. Yes,
Nah.
he just picked one up and almost missed the show because he was playing Super
I know.
Mario Brothers.
No, you're bringing it to Nashville, right?
It sounds like I am.
I want to play it.
I'm so mad at Nintendo Classic. I really wanted one, but there's no Blades of Steel and there's no original Contra.
See, Contra. See, Scott, you're my soul animal.
I know they have Super
yes,
C.
yes.
I need original Contra.
I think
No,
there's a sequel,
the original Contra was the best game ever.
I have
Now, did you beat it with just the three guys?
Oh boy.
Not the BA, left, right, left, not the
The cheat codes work apparently, but I have to look them up.
Unlimited guys and all the weapons. Oh,
I beat it with just three guys.
Baby. Oh, wow, that's impressive.
I did.
Oh, I loved spreadies, having the spreadies.
Yep.
Oh, that game was amazing.
Oh man, gaming is so awesome. It's so cool.
But I guess there's a way to do emulators, and you can actually throw extra games on there because there are only 30 on there, and it's something like 96 games you can put on there. But they're like, oh, if you knew Linux, you can. I'm like, come on, seriously, you want to be coding? Like, oh, you might break it. I'm like, dude, I had a coworker. Like, I actually stood in line one morning. I got up at like 5, and I was like 5 people short of getting one. And I kept looking and looking and looking, and they would have like 1 in the store, 2 in the stores. They really screwed this up. They could have probably sold twice as many as they did. But I have one now, so I don't care. Y'all can suck it. I got it.
I think they do that to add to the hype.
They do. They know it.
Probably.
Oh, that's
and we'll go with over it or nah, day drinking.
Nah, of course.
Because Thursday and Friday, I'm going to Nashville, going to see a concert, and then on Friday afternoon, my current plans involve Hattie B's hot chicken for lunch, and then there's a place called 2 Bits that has arcade games. They also have the old like Nintendo 64. I spent an afternoon playing Mario Kart on there. And they have a back room with karaoke and a pretty good set of beers. So, yeah.
Yeah, you have to with that situation going on.
The best part is you go in there and you're like, well, what about quarters? And they're like, no, you just press start. You play anyway. I'm like, oh, that's even better.
We have a place like that in Minneapolis up here, too. I've only been once, but yeah, that's amazing.
Gaming is fun, and because I've lost to Sharona in so many ways, but I've won by her friendship and co-host next. I have beers, and by the way, if Sharona for some reason something happens, you can't make it, I'm drinking this.
Go for
this is
it.
The Barista Belgian. This is a chocolate quad that I opened, and I think Sharona got maybe 1 sip of. So I got her another one. And then, of course, I got a 4-pack of the Dragon's Milk.
Yay! My favorite.
Really, the 4-pack is a better deal.
I haven't had a Dragon's Milk in months.
So that's what we have. Although, now that I have the Nintendo, I'm like, I could just bring that to my parents' house. We could just play Nintendo instead of going out and just stay in the house. And that would be equally good. But, yeah, fun weekend ahead. Isn't it just almost traumatic for everybody? Because we had the championship games, which kind of sucked, but they were football. And now this weekend we have like the Pro Bowl and I guess the Senior Bowl's on. There's nothing. And then next weekend we have the Super Bowl, which could be good. Although Scott's wearing the red this week, so he must be going for the Falcons, right? Is that what's happening?
You know what? The easiest way to get my son to get in his pajamas is to put my pajamas on as well. And I don't know if you can tell from here, but it's
Superman pajamas.
Yeah,
Wait.
and it's got it is. It's Superman versus Batman. I got one on each leg.
Are they footy pajamas?
No, God, I wish they were. But
I love footy pajamas.
no, I put my pajamas on the same time as my son just because.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then we lay down and watch a short cartoon, and then we read books.
That's so great. You're such a great dad.
I love it so much. It's probably why I've not written as much in the fantasy industry as I used to.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, there are only 4 once.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Let me do them.
Sweet.
Yep, I did the math. They are only 4 once. That is correct.
See, math is easy.
Yep.
There you go. And this is the gift I got for my in-laws. So
Real men love cats. Nice.
I got
Stand up again so everybody can see.
Related gifts. Yeah. There we go.
All right.
And yes, it looks exactly like Soy. So yeah. Yes, I've become a cat. Well, I can't say I've become a cat daddy, though I have a fur papa and fur mama wine glasses that I've been drinking beer out of course. Nice capacity on them. You know, they're like little glasses where you can only fit half a glass. You can really, it's really strong. So that's always a good thing. So what's happened with this Bull Rush show, podcast? Tell us a little bit about it before we call it a night.
Oh, Bull Rush podcast. Find it on iTunes. It's fun. We are taking a 2-month hiatus. We're probably going to be coming back in about 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It's mostly nonsense with a little bit of football, but it's really a funny show. It's like 3 guys at a bar just chatting and joking around.
It's so fun.
It is really good. We put a best of clips from the season episode up, 20 minutes. Go check that out if you want a taste of what it's like to listen to the show. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, definitely check it out.
And where else can everybody find you? And how can someone get, if someone all I wanted for Christmas was to get into a Scotch Fish League and they didn't get it, how do they do that for next year?
It is a tough ticket. Like I said, it's like 2,500 people signed up, and probably 480, 500, 600. I don't know. Most of the seats are taken by analysts because that's who the fans want to play with. So go to scottfishbowl.com, sign up there. Best of luck. It's not easy to get in, but at least put your name on the list. You can find me on Twitter at scottfish24. I'm senior writer and developer at Dynasty League Football. Check out some awesome work there. There's lots of awesome stuff going on there. I'm also doing Commissioner Impossible. It's a podcast. Look it up on iTunes. I do that with Ryan McDowell. We talk about commissioner stuff. It's really a lot of fun. And if you're setting up new leagues or you're interested in commissioner type stuff, that's a really, really good show.
Podcasts are like potato chips. You can't just do one.
No,
Sharona, how about you? I hear you're back live. I listened to your show today and hashtag stick to sports. No.
Tell people to stick it if they tell you that. Yes, we were back today, and we're going to try to do a podcast on Friday. And we're doing shorter podcasts this year. Last year it was fun and great, and we did 3-hour podcasts, and there's a time and place I suppose for that, but it just is exhausting. And so we're doing 30-minute podcasts. 30 we might occasionally do an hour, but shorter podcasts. And so check it out, Back Talk with Sharona.
That's awesome.
And follow me on Twitter at Sports by Sharona.
Sports by Sharona and Zach _Law, and that's how you find us. So thanks everybody for being on. Sorry, Don, I didn't mention your name. Sorry.
Hi, Don.
Go party coming up in a couple weeks, so that'll be fun because the year's almost over. So thanks to everybody for listening. Thanks to Scott and thanks to Sharona and thanks to Beer for being on the show tonight. And good night and kiss my grits.